This is going to be the last question.
My name is Lou Felicione. I live at 39 Spruce Street in Rochelle. I want to. This goes to the both candidates here. Propose on the city yard moving into West New Rochelle. The most densely populated of this city is West New Rochelle, and West Main Street in the morning is terrific. You can't get down. You can't get down that street at all. We talk about bringing retail on Main Street. How are we going to bring retail on Main Street if you can't get down Main Street now? And then if you want to propose a city yard there, where it'll kill traffic even more, it'll be frustrated for the store owners down there. Proposal of how do you use both feel on the proposal for West New Rochelle Beechwood. And one more last thing is that where the proposed site is, it's 57, 59, 55, 57, and 59. There's 3 apartment buildings with children right next to this proposed site.
Ms. Kettner.
Okay, I've stated unequivocally that I am opposed to the relocation of the city yards, the site, for a number of reasons. The area is too congested already. I'm very, very concerned that it's going to have an adverse impact on the lower Main Street corridor development. But I'm also concerned about the safety of the workers and the ability of those streets to handle the heavy equipment that's got to rumble through there. And I just can't be convinced that is an appropriate location. And I will vote no if that vote comes up before me at City Council. I recognize that the DPW site currently is very antiquated, and I would be willing to work with the DPW workers to ensure their safety going forward. I've been advised, my brother who's in the audience works for the city. He tells me that it's just among the, it's really just a terrible, terrible working conditions. They're really very old. So the site has got to be moved somewhere, and the question is where. This is one of those difficult decisions where on the zoning board I see nobody wants to get the DPW, nobody wants it in their backyard, and so while I don't think that the current site is the appropriate site, I would welcome any kind of reasonable alternative, preferably close to I-95, that will not come through our residential or, commercial corridors.
Thank you. Mr. Trangucci.
Well, I agree also that the proposed site is not the site for the city yard. I mean, I've played up there when I was a young boy. It's just not conducive for a city yard. Maybe at the IKEA area or Fifth Avenue, where we have access to 95 would be a good spot because you can get to the north and you can also get to the south pretty quickly. But one of the problems with this whole city yard is that the city of New Rochelle already purchased the property for $5 million, and they took title. And this building that's on that property has been there for 60 years and basically abandoned. And I understand they used to make light bulbs. And there's probably environmental issues with that property. And the city now, we took title, and the fellow who bought that, who we purchased the property from, I'm sure he went to church the following week and fell on his knees and thank God for he sold his property. But we took title, and now we're going to probably have to spend $5 million to clean up this site. And so, again, that's money out of your pockets being spent on a site that should have never been purchased to begin with. So we need to find a site, but the site that we purchased should have never been purchased.
Thank you. Now we will have our closing statements. Each candidate has 1 minute to sum up with no rebuttals. We will start with Mr. Trangucci.
Again, I entered this race to just bring out straight issues and not to beat around the bush. My opponent has said that we are similar on many major issues, but there is one issue that we're light years away, and that's eminent domain. I am against it. I've always been against it. I don't think that a city or any developer should use the city as a shield to take somebody's property away from them so they can bill for the developer's profit. My opponent had wrote an article in the New York Times in 2006 indicating that the property is not yours, yet you only lease it from the government. And so you can't be an advocate for a person, an advocate for citizens, if you feel that eminent domain is something that you feel you're in favor of. This is something that has to be thought about and it has to be addressed. But she made the statement, not I, and she has to tell and convince all of you that she is someone who is against eminent domain. But again, everyone here, I'm speaking to you with the real issues. I'm not telling you something you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. You have to make that decision. You have to go out on November 6th and make the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kettner? Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Kettner?
Well, Lou, as your dear friend Ronnie Reagan would say, there you go again. I never stated that I was for eminent domain. The article that was published in the New York Times and also in the local Community View dealt with reactions to the Kelo versus New London decision, which I happen to disagree with. I happen to disagree with the Supreme Court's decision. My point of view about eminent domain is on my website. If it's used for a public purpose, a broad public purpose, the traditional view of eminent domain, just compensation and as a last resort. You know, I'm not running my campaign on a platform of eminent domain, I can assure you, and it's a very serious issue. This race is not about Lou and it's not about me. It's about my constituents, hopefully my future constituents. I want to tell you that I've spent my life as an advocate, as a lawyer, and I have advocated for the people who are just, no one would stand with them in court or in the forums that I've gone with them. And this is the kind of advocacy that I will bring to you, and I will be on your side if you stand with me going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. In closing this portion of the candidates forum, I'd like to thank Susan Kettner and Louis Trangucci